Alright, everybody. Let's finish Chapter 7, Velvet Remedy. This should be good.
Here. It's about time. Her tale was to me, and she faced a wall with 3 yellow boxes arranged so their butterflies were in a triangular pattern. I can't very well do any good sitting in here. She turned, a glance towards me, and stopped. Now she turned slowly towards me, staring. Oh, no. For the last half hour, fantasies had played through my head, imagining the expression on her face when I found her. The surprise, the joy. This wasn't either. No, oh dear. Her eyes traveled from my face to my Stable 2 utility barding, still quite recognizable even with Ditzy-Doo's improvements, to the pip buck on my foreleg. Velvet Remedy looked shocked and sad. "What are you doing here?" she asked with a breath. I stood
Freeing
tall.
slaves!
"I followed you out of the stable. Came across the Equestrian wastelands to find you. I'm here to rescue you." I gave her my best winning smile. Then, worrying at how I might have sounded, I added meekly, "I'm not stalking you." "Aren't you now?" She shook her head and pranced around, almost as if distraught. "I tried so hard to keep any pony from following me. This isn't what I wanted at all." Then she looked at me again, and this time I could tell she was seeing the wounds, and the weapons. "You're the one out there shooting up everything. You are, aren't you?" Wait, why was I suddenly feeling like I'd done something wrong? "Yes, like I said, I'm here to rescue you." "Rescue? Little Pip. Oh my gosh, you remembered my name.
You
I'm not a prisoner.
fangirl.
I'm here of my own volition." What? What? "You're here with slavers." I couldn't tell which was breaking faster, my head or my heart. "You're working with slavers?" She stared at me, her voice
I
cold.
wasn't expecting that.
"And you're cutting a bloody swath through them. How many ponies are dead tonight because of you, little Pip?" "They're slavers!" I was breathing hard, seeing red. "And how many people they support? This is a town, little Pip. There are merchants and a tavern owner, and work ponies everywhere. Have you
Fuck
killed
you!
any of them? Are you sure?" "No, I haven't, I'm sure." "Well, unless some of the townsfolk wear slaver armor and carry slaver guns and were shooting at me." "And the slaves? Do you think you can kill slaver ponies and they won't retaliate? Do you think they wouldn't take it out on the helpless ponies to make an example?" "Not if we rescue them all first," I thought savagely. But instead of arguing further, I forced myself to be calm. This was Velvet Remedy. I'd given her a chance to explain herself, in as even a tone as I could muster. "Why?" Velvet Remedy's voice never raised nor wavered. I was near shouting, and she was keeping her poise. It made me want to scream even more. "When I left the stable, after leaving a message to keep any pony from following me," she gave me a pointed look, "I came upon a band of ponies who had been set upon by a horrific beast. There was only one survivor, badly wounded, missing a leg. So of course, I galloped to his leg. Did you know I always wanted to be a medical pony? I bound his wounds and carried him back to his camp. It was a slaver camp, and there were several ponies there who were in severe need of aid, particularly amongst the captives." Velvet Remedy looked around the boxcar, which I began to realize was not her cell, but her room. "I've been with them since." I just stared. "But you're helping slavers." Velvet Remedy turned away from me, staring at her wall of yellow medical boxes with little pink butterflies. Casually, as if talking about the weather, cloudy with a chance of rain, gunfire, and bloody dismemberment, she told me, "I read in a book once, back when I was about your age, that when Fluttershy, the mayor of the Ministry of Peace herself, stepped onto a battlefield, she insisted that her healer ponies tend to every one wounded on the battlefield. Every one. Pony, zebra. To her, it didn't matter." She turned a level gaze at me and slowly asked, "How could I do any less? It's different."
Fucking
"Oh,"
hero
she
worship.
"How?" "Because these are slavers who are killing people and selling others into slavery and death, even foals. And the zebras wiped out our cities." I stomped at the ground. Okay, maybe I didn't have any logical reason why this was any different, but it felt different. "Look," I tried reasonably, "these slaver ponies. When you save one of them, you're making it possible for them to hurt and kill other ponies. Destroy lives. The slaves you heal? You're being sold into horrible work that ends up killing them. The slavers are just using you so those poor ponies survive the trip into hell. Velvet Remedy looked pain. You don't think I know that? What else can I do? I'm just one pony, and I will not do nothing. Would you have me just trot away from suffering ponies because they have the misfortune of being captives of slavers? Now, finally, I felt the ground reassert itself beneath my hoofs. You can help me rescue them. She chuckled sadly, shaking her head. Rescue them? The two of us, against all those slavers. She looked me over. Not that I don't doubt your resolve, or your firepower, but we would be horribly outnumbered. I could feel myself grinning. I'm not alone. We have support, and he's a Pegasus. Her resistance was crumbling, but still she shook her head. Even if we did, then what? Did you also bring enough food for the slaves? Water? We are many days' trot from the nearest friendly settlement, and many of these poor ponies I've been tending to are in no condition to make such a trip. Some of them are foals. Her gaze traveled to my lame leg, and her eyes widened. Oh dear. She pointed a forehoof. And it doesn't look like you are in condition to either. If we had a few hours, I could tend to that, but... She sat back, her voice full of regret. Oh, I admire your bravery and sacrifice. But little Pip, did you really think this through? Of course I thought it through, I stammered, a little crossly and mostly honestly.
What?
I have a train.
I thought it through better than you.
Her eyes widened with surprise, and for the first time her voice was hopeful rather than hurting. That might work. Calamity stood guard atop the sheriff's office as Velvet Remedy and I made our way to the cells inside. Nearly half a dozen colts and fillies, reeking of filth and sorrow, looked up at our approach, their eyes fearful. That fear softened as they saw Velvet Remedy, and she smiled gently at them in return. I have good news, little ponies, she said softly, hesitating with a grimace before stepping over the headless bulk of one of the guards. Calamity had cleared the way.
I like
We're all
Calamity.
going on a train ride. I was already at work on the lock of the first cage. I glanced over, admiring how she was with foals, nuzzling them through the bars. She had been, I could tell, the one good thing in their bleak, awful lives here. My eyes slid down to her flanks, noticing with amusement, not for the first time, that she had 2 medical boxes strapped to her sides as saddlebags, only now realizing that the scarlet and golden streaks in her hair had suggestive similarity to the pink and yellow that I now associated with the Ministry of Peace. Also, why didn't I think of that? Those metal boxes would provide better protection and added armor for the flanks as well. The tumbler slid into place, and I pulled open the cage.
Didn't think of that.
The little ponies inside looked at me with mixed expressions. Joy, hope, and a fearful reluctance to let either into their hearts. We got incoming. Calamity's voice broke through the sounds of the rain. Whoa, little Pip. We got trouble. Big trouble. Velvet Remedy shot me a worried expression, like the hope I had built up in her was shattering. Moving deftly, I snuck up to the nearest window and looked out. 2 ponies were striding up toward the sheriff's office, clopping through the small river that the street used to be. A third watched over them from the top of a boxcar, then leapt down to walk between them. The 2 on either side were heavy battle saddles, but it was the figure in between that caught my attention. She was tall, her body exuding a graceful malice, and strength I had not imagined to any pony. In truth, she hardly looked like a pony at all. From her hooves, to the long spiral horn on her head, to her wings. A winged unicorn. Awestruck,
What?
I drew on the only figures like this in my memory. Celestia? Luna? The voice of the mysterious dark mare carried majestically through the torrent. We will give you just one chance to come out. Do so, or we will bring the whole building down on your ears. My mind reeled. I felt my hooves stepping forward, pulling me towards the door. But I stopped as I locked onto the one thing in my heart that I insisted to be true. Neither Goddess Celestia nor Goddess Luna would support such horrible ponies. Whoever this creature was, she did not deserve my reverence. My atheistic friend on the roof had a moment of pause. With a yee and a haw,
I know
dived
this
toward
was
the end of the
written
trio,
before
firing
Cadence
twice.
and
4 bullets struck
ALICORN
home,
Twilight.
and the pony to the left of the Nada Goddess fell with a splash, blood washing over the strange mare's hoofs and down the river that was Main Street. The strange mare responded with a whinnying laugh that had no gentleness of soul. Such impudence! I gasped as the mare's horn glowed a sickly green, and a blast of lightning ripped from its tip, slamming into Calamity's chest, throwing him back through the sky. Calamity! I focused desperately, my own horn glowing. Calamity was spiraling down, unconscious. and I barely caught him in time, holding him hovering over the minefield that surrounded the slave pens.
I know this is probably like supposed to be some big reveal, but the thing is, so far, watching the series up to season 5, we know ascension, becoming an alicorn, is a thing. I mean, you read the comics, you learn Cadence was a regular Pegasi before ascending to alicornhood. We got Twilight, who ascended to alicornhood. And, so it's not a big surprise reading that now as it was probably back then. I mean, I can imagine people who read this probably got a big shock out of it, but not me, because, season 5, ascension is now a thing, and not everybody calls it ascension, but I do. When, you become an alicorn, you become something more, you ascend up. So that's not a big surprise, and I'm pretty sure that people can become alicorns. So even though that's not what K-Cat intended, K-Cat probably didn't even think that was a thing until the Cadence comic or the Twilight episode. So that's not a big a shock or surprise as it should have been.
His eyes blinked open, then widened with terror as he saw the mines below him, his hooves thrashing in panic as he tried to backpedal through the air. Oh, now isn't that touching? The mare turned to the slaver pony still flanking her as I glided Calamity to safety. Kill her. The slaver pony trotted forward, the many barrels of his battle saddle pointed at the age and weather-weakened wooden structure. Behind me, I heard Velvet Remedy telling the foals, "Lay flat, all of you, as low as you can." I turned to see her waving her horn at the cells, and I marveled as a weak, shielding glow wrapped about the cells.
Don't turn around.
Did I realized that Velvet Remedy had not thought to place herself within the spell of protection she wove around the children. The roar of the slaver's battle saddle was nothing like the thunder of other guns, but akin to the fury of a dragon. Bullets tore at the side of the building, a great many puncturing through, perforating the front of the sheriff's office. I dove to the floor behind a metal desk, feeling bullets slice the air just behind me and then ring against the metal as they tried to murder the desk. I heard Velvet Remedy cry out. I heard her fall. The roar paused, as if the battle saddle needed to catch its breath. Jumping up from my position, 4 hooves on bullet-riddled desk, I stared out the window and focused. The glow of my horn matched the glow around 1, 2, 3, 4 of the mines. I pulled them from the mud and carried them towards our enemies as the minigunner reloaded. The strange mare saw what I was doing, throwing up a wing and enveloping herself with a sickly green field of energy, a much brighter and stronger version of Velvet Remedy's protection spell. The slaver pony turned towards the floating mines the moment they started beeping. He backed up, eyes wide. Beep, 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 boom! The strange mare's shield whitened with blood and organs. The spell had barely flickered at the force of the onslaught, but it had flickered. That was almost impressive, she drawled. But now, playtime is over. I wasn't paying attention. My eyes were
don't
only
ever
for
pay
Velvet
attention when
Remedy,
the villain
who lay in
speaks.
the widening pool of blood. 3 of the bullets had struck her, 1 only grazing, but 2 sunk deep into her belly. As quickly as I could, I opened one of her medical boxes and pulled out a roll of medical bandages. The door of the sheriff's office ripped off its hinges and went sailing into the darkness. "Go ahead," she taunted. "Throw your best spell." No spell came. I had none to throw at her. "Oh!" She laughed as if she somehow read my mind. "No spells? Well, aren't you just a pathetic excuse for a unicorn?" I finished binding Velvet as best I could. She stirred, moaning in pain. My heart jumped. And here we were hoping that the great assassin who decided to assault our town would at least provide us with a challenge. We have been so utterly bored. I focused. My horn began to glow. Telekinesis again. Such a fool's game. She was trotting closer.
Don't you ever fucking doubt telekinesis!
For the trouble you've caused us, and worse, for wasting our time with your patheticness. First, we will kill your friends, then have them chopped up into a nice stew, which we will then feed to you. My horn glowed brighter, was beginning to sweat with the effort.
Is that how Little Pip gets the cannibal
we will instead
perk?
feed them to the foals and make you watch. The glow of my horn flared, a bright overglow enveloping it. I began to tremble with exertion. Still not impressed. The strange mare's voice was glorious and impossibly jaded. The light from my horn was pouring out the doorway, and through the bullet holes of the building, and she couldn't have cared less. So what's this? levitating all the little ponies away. You can't send them far enough that we can't catch them. Or
Fucking
maybe you're trying to
monologuing
levitate every
villain.
gun in the armory. Even if you could, this shield around us will stop any bullet. A second overglow erupted from my horn, enveloping the first. I screamed as the energies burned through me. The strange mare looked from one side to the other, turning in place to see if there was anything behind her, but noticed nothing but running water and darkness. Even up, but she still saw nothing. "Oh, enough of this!" She turned back to me. "You're right," I said, stepping feebly into the doorway, the effort draining such energy from me that I feared I would pass out. "I am small, weak, pathetic."
No, don't
My
say
crippled
that.
leg was wobbling so hard it made my teeth chatter. My eyes teared from the pain. I kept my head low, horn to the
Trying
ground,
to do.
almost looking worshipful. "I am a sad excuse for a unicorn, with no spells but foal's cantrip of levitation." Without raising my horn, I looked into her eyes. This close, my light bathed her. I could see that she was not actually black, but dark forest green in coat, with a mane streaked in green and purple. "But I've gotten really, really good at it." Again, the mare looked around casually, trying to guess what I was up to, but I could see just a touch of apprehension in her bored expression. "Well, maybe you're not worthless after all. Give yourself to us. Join us in unity. Become something greater than this wretched thing you are now." A third layer of brilliant overglow erupted from my horn.
No!
The light was blinding. My lame leg gave up.
No!
instantly,
We're
and I
talking
dropped
about
to
this,
one knee.
K-Cat.
"No!" Rearing back with disgust, the mare demanded, "Oh, what are you doing?" I heard Calamity chuckle nearby. "Keeping you safe from casting a shadow." "What?" The mare looked down, then up a second time, this time seeing the much softer glow coming from above the sheriff's office. A moment later, the silently gliding boxcar drifted over the roof and stopped above her. Her eyes went wide with comprehension as I let go.
I thought...
Wham! The massive waves splashing out from behind the impact bowled me over.
Don't
getting
fuck
my
with
nostrils
telekinesis.
abuzz. I coughed, gasping. I tried to get back to my hooves, but exhaustion smothered me, and I passed out.
Pause
Blood.
the video.
It washed around my hooves,
No,
and
pause.
splashed against my leg.
Stop that. Okay, that was chapter 7. We're done with that. Are the ALICORNs the super mutants? I'm just going to ask that straight up. If you don't want to tell me, K-Cat, that's fine. And this is to K-Cat. Okay, Asimov, all you other guys that watch this, stay out. Just, did you make the ALICORNs the super mutants? You. God damn it, K-Cat. That fucks with all sorts of canon. I love it. Who's the master? It's probably Twilight. I mean, Ministry of... What was it? Magic or Technology? Same thing in MLP. So... they create their own FIV virus that creates alicorns, presumably because Unity join us, become more than the pathetic wretch you are. Join us in Unity. That is the Master talking. That is the super mutants under the Master. Did Twilight become... I could see that. I could see Twilight becoming the Master. I could see Twilight Sparkle, you know, everything's gotta be neat, everything's gotta be orderly, everything's gotta fucking follow my schedule or I flip the fuck out. Sparkle going the Master. Especially if, in this where they apparently just said fuck the elements of harmony. But, god damn it. Twilight's my favorite pony. You can't make her that genocidal fuck nugget. Ooh, this. I'm restless. Your story makes me restless. I come in here, I'm relaxed, I'm calm, then it makes me... First 2 minutes in, you made me scream fuck you at a fictional character. Damn, K-Cat. Just god damn it. Alright. Did you really... How does that work? I mean, okay, you didn't have the knowledge of alicorns that we do now. You didn't have that knowledge. Okay, but... What were they going to do with them? Like, the Forced Evolutionary Virus was designed to create super soldiers, but knowing Equestria, which isn't like the Enclave that we know of quite yet, because it was the CMC alone who made the stable social experiments, not the government, who ordered Vault-Tec to do it. So what, in assuming it wasn't, let's assume this isn't a stable tech and CMC thing trying to make everyone alicorns. Let's assume that isn't. What the hell was the Equestrian government going to do with an army of alicorns? Okay, because so far, Equestria rules on alicorn divine right. So what happens if you can manufacture God. You can... Again, let's assume Twilight became the master. Let's assume she and the Ministry of Magic, or whatever, made the FEV virus and an alicorn mutation virus, and the alicorns are super mutants, because that was some master talk. I played Fallout 1. I own it. I played it repeatedly. That is the master kind of talk right there. Ooh. What was Rarity's ministry? Because she could also go the master route, because, you know, she wants everything to be perfect. Not quite to the degree of Twilight, but she would kind of the one that could go a master route, so it might be Rarity. Possibly. Maybe. But again, assuming this isn't a stable tech thing like the stables were, what was the, what were they going... I mean, the alicorns lose divine right to rule if you could just make them constantly. What happens when these soldiers, who are created to fight your war, decide, we want to be a princess, prince, whatever, too? So why don't we get a kingdom? Why should you be in charge? That's not long-term planning. I mean, okay, this could be a stable tech thing again. And the CMC have sort of shown themselves to be dumbasses. Well, okay, I gotta admit, KK, you had a point with the fact that Equestria has one social order for so long, and they don't have the history of knowing that social engineering does not work. So I can't really call them dumbasses, just not very intelligent. They tried, but they didn't try in the right way, is what I'm trying to say with the CMC. They didn't do the right thing, but they tried. But it's possible. Again, the FEV virus was used in the vaults too. There was some vaults that used the FEV, Forced Evolutionary Virus. So it's possible that the alicorns, if they are the supermutants, could also be a stable tech thing. So it'll be the CMC's fault. Then I have to wonder what the hell's going on with that. What the hell they were thinking. If it is a stable tech thing that creates the alicorns, then again, that's just another case for the CMC not knowing what the hell they were doing. But it was a government thing, then the government has a problem, because it sounds like they went to war first and then sought victory, instead of seeking victory first, then going to war. Or securing victory first, then go to war. It sounds like they were so focused on the war itself, if this is the Equestrian government project, that they didn't really think what would come after. I mean, yeah, okay, win the war. Win or loot. Win the war. You know, try to win the war, but you have to realize that You gotta plan for what's afterwards. And if you have an army of veteran, powerful alicorns, then what about your current monarchy, which is built on the idea of alicorn divine right? It means nothing. There'll be civil unrest, civil war. You'll have veterans who start. I mean, okay, some of them might stay loyal and be content, but when you have all that power, and if it works like the Fed virus or normal alicorn's potential immortality, then you destroyed your own government. And maybe not immediately, but over time, you will destroy the basis of your government, which is divine right, that you backed up by being immortal, powerful, unique creatures, and now you create the ability to mass produce that. Who? You did not think that through. Whether it was this, if it was the CMC, they were probably trying to plan for a post-apocalyptic thing, but that's still not. I really want to blame the CMC, but the ignorance is not an excuse. They may not have known social engineering or forced evolution stuff doesn't work, but if it was them, fuck them. Fuck them hard. If it was the Equestrian government who created this forced alicorn virus, I guess you could call it, then they were so focused on just winning the war, they didn't put any thought into what would happen afterwards, that they pretty much destroyed the foundations of their government. If it was the Equestrian government, the master is probably Twilight, but it could be Rarity, because she could. Evil Rarity could fit the master trope. God, it could be Luna or Celestia. But if it's not, but if it was Stable Tech, it's really got to be, as from the knowledge we have, it's one of those two groups. If it was Stable Tech, well, it's not Sweetie Belle. Could be Apple Bloom. We haven't heard anything from her, other than that message to Sweetie Belle. Apple Bloom always struck me as the one who was kind of the asshole of the group. Really, I never really liked Apple Bloom as much as. It's probably my dislike of her that I don't really hate her, but I don't like her as much, and that's probably making me think she could be the master. Of course, there's probably some other groups we don't know yet, but those are the two major groups that we do know of that could make a forced alicorn virus. I guess it would still be the forced evolutionary virus, wouldn't it? KK, you were just fucking laughing at me, aren't you? You are just laughing at you're laughing at my guesses, because they're probably wrong. And I want to go on the wiki to learn, but I can't, because then I'll lose all faith. I'll lose all surprises. Just, whatever. I'm signing out. God, if it was the Equestrian government, they did not think this shit